Hey guys, this is the Three of a Kind podcast, and this is our second episode. I'm Yanina.
I'm Trent.
Christian. Okay. So let's see. I guess the hot topic would probably be Aurora's LL. I
One
think
of
we should
many.
start there.
Yeah,
I think we should start there.
sure.
All right. Trent, how don't you go ahead and start it off? Since you played in PQ while she was
Legal.
yes. I have not
So
yet, so
Aurora, I think it's really interesting because she was just such an easy to access hero. So her leaving kind of like honestly, both of the ones I played at, she was like the highest represented hero, and I think probably every event since maybe since Viscerai LL. I can't say that with exact certainty, but definitely like when Viscerai left, she took off. So having that happen, I think changed a lot of the way people approach the game again, which I think is really good. Because having like this best deck in format meta, I feel like like in the past, like with Lexi or with Icelander or Oldhim, it's kind of like just the same thing. And it was interesting because not as many decks in the hands of like your everyday player could keep up with the stuff that Aurora was doing, other than like Enigma. But even then, like it wasn't as many people because she's a
yeah.
higher skill hero, but like a lot of the higher quality players would play Enigma to kind of
Right.
counter it a little bit. It still wasn't an easy matchup and it wasn't free, but I think it's really there's a lot to be said about the game with her LLing for like a couple different reasons. A lot of which kind of like people have talked about to no end, and like the dev update kind of touched on, but it's like
Right.
this is the third hero in out of the past three sets, because Hunted is pretty fresh, but like
Right.
within a year to have gone. And she went even faster than Zen and Enigma did because her set came out later. So
Yeah. One thing I want to hit on that you mentioned is the dev talk. They mentioned the fact of, I think most people have seen it up at this point, is the misprint on
oof.
um, Skyward Serenade. Um,
Where Go Again was supposed to be an
yeah,
option.
yeah.
Yeah. I
That I mean, they already said it. That was a really big miss on their end, and it definitely put them in a like rough spot because it's like you can't ban the card because it's in an introductory product.
yeah.
You can't errata it because
It
it's
was out
not
there.
exactly the card's already out there. You can't reprint it and like just start handing it out like go on the corner of the street and just hey, if you have an Aurora Armory deck, show up to this corner and pick up your new errated card.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
so they
that
were kind of
quickly.
exactly, and so they kind of were just forced to like watch the you know
Watch it burn
for better
down.
lack of a better word, yeah,
Rainbow
watch it
Melee
burn
one.
down and just watch her LL. Like there's nothing they could have hit Flicker Wisp, which they probably should have done in response to the misprint. But I mean, what can you do?
It's just the amount of foresight, to be
Yeah,
honest. And I think part of that too is like not all people were playing it, and she was still performing well. Like
yep,
Agroblaze. Agroblaze performed very well even before he added that card to his list, because he added that card to his list pretty late in the game.
yeah.
But
He was. I know he was one of the last people to actually like submit to actually playing Skyward Serenade package with Skizix.
I still think I don't know. Actually, I say that, but then I'm immediately like, because you could just do the same thing with Gone on a Flash.
Yeah,
If you ran Skizik without Serenade, but I think the utility was too strong there, which
yeah,
I think it's still like nichely could have seen play. It encourages you to play Face Purgatory in the list. It
yep,
encourages um maybe a little bit more thought into like how the turn laid out instead of just saying make an embodiment and grab the Skizik.
yeah,
Um, I think it would. I don't know if it would have changed as much
yeah,
because personally, I don't know if the card affected that deck that much. I think it would have slowed it down maybe a little bit, but I
yeah.
don't think. I think she still would have gone as
Right.
probably not as fast, but still pretty
Yeah,
quick.
she probably would have been playable for Nats, and then I would assume that at Nats she would probably, if she took it down, would probably get close,
I mean,
if
there's
not
so many
LL
Nats
at
around
most.
the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like she probably would have LL'd during Nats, but she would have at least made it to Nats. So
Hmm.
there is that. Um,
Yanina, did you
but
did you ever play her, or were you just straight Florian?
Well, I tried to play her for a little bit, but I didn't really like her playstyle, so I just switched to Florian.
That's fair.
yeah, she likes to be able to block on occasion.
I understand that. And I feel like that deck can block. It's just not as efficient. But also,
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I have like some issue with aggro decks personally, but it's like with every game, it's kind of what's gonna happen.
yeah,
Where I didn't like the play pattern. Like I was very like anti Zen before bans because it
yeah.
was just,
Mhm.
like it felt brain dead. And I don't
Right,
think
exactly.
Aurora is that level where it's just
No,
like,
I wouldn't either.
oh, I just win the game because I draw one card special and I
Yep.
just know this one niche like the one specific time per game action that I can do to make this turn go stupid. Aurora didn't have that, but I know a lot of people who could just stumble into wins on the deck just because
Yeah.
it's 0 for 4 the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this one Twitter post. I think Carl Opal post. I think that's how you say his last name. Posted it. Sorry if I got that last name wrong. I'm trying to remember how it looks in my brain. But there was a picture of a playmat, and the game was shown, and it was like turn two. Someone got like a double channel turn with a arc lightning, and they just went like skyward serenade, skyward serenade. They played like all three copies, and they played a flicker wisp. It was like a 76 damage turn,
Dude.
and it was just like natural. Just there was no pitch stack for it. It just happened off the top, and it's like it kind of just feels bad when you like just you're sitting down at a PQ and you just get like
Ugh.
rolled off the top. Yeah, exactly.
I will
So,
say I will not miss CLV
oh my
as
god,
as threatening as it
yeah,
is. I don't think Acilio makes it as
he
threatening.
does.
Still threatening.
It is. I mean, I've played quite a bit of Acilio. When Rosetta first came out, that's who I was playing like primarily for fun at armories and stuff. And he definitely like can use CLV, but it doesn't feel as nearly as strong as it does in Aurora.
It's not as abusive. I think back
Yeah,
to the first PQ I played this season. I was playing it versus a buddy who was playing Aurora at this event, and the game was like kind of going okay. And then he had a point where it's like I had no cards left in hand, and he played out two CLVs and played a Sigil of Suffering, and I had no
yeah.
way to AB it, so I was like, oh,
That's
cool,
yeah,
draw two cards. And he was like, oh, I
Mhm.
kind of break by drawing two CLVs, but then he drew two cards, and then his next turn, he presented enough damage to draw two more cards and keep both around. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
Mhm.
awesome. And then my next turn, because I had to block so much, I had no defenses, and he shocked me again on my turn, so he's up to
yep.
6 cards, and then the next turn that he had, he was able to draw cards again off of both of them. So
Yeesh.
it was stupid, and
Yeah, I
I'm
think
happy
that
to not have to deal with that again.
I think the biggest issue with Aurora and CLV versus Acilio is like don't. It's weird that I'm saying this about a wizard, but like Acilio doesn't do damage on the opponent's turn as frequently as any other wizard in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Verdance does it more on the other opponent's turn. So because of that, I think the ability for Aurora to not only ping you with Arcane on defense and draw a card off of it is just like the fact that she can do that is what
It's
makes it
not fair.
broken in her. Yeah,
Well, because
She's
all
not
of
a
his,
wizard.
yeah, not a wizard, and all of Acilio's like instant speed damage is like a ping of one or two because
yeah,
of the his staff and a shot,
right,
and none of his shocks are free.
yeah,
So that's a little rough. What do you
yeah.
what
He
do
has to
you
commit like two cards to drawing a card on
yeah,
defense. So
it's
it's not really
it
it's
doesn't feel
bad.
good.
Yeah.
So I know Yanina's excited because she's a big Florian player, and I know
Yep.
that.
I'm actually not excited. I don't
Oh,
want people to make him have so many LL points. I wanted to be able to play him forever. It's my pet deck.
oh,
He's already getting so many points, and I'm just like, no.
well, you can hope
He's at
for
he's at like
a good ban
500.
on it. You can hope for a good ban
Yeah.
so he stays around, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe
she,
Scepter.
she says sadly because she really likes playing that version of the deck.
I
Yeah.
really like playing Florian. It's like it was my secret little deck that it was pretty good, you know. But now everyone's on Florian. I'm like,
Yeah. I
okay.
mean, um, Florian was like actually her first deck in Flesh and Blood. So
It's a good hero. Really,
Don't
yeah.
really.
take him away from me,
Yeah, it was
please.
funny. She's like, dude, this hero is so good. Why aren't more people playing it? And then more people started playing it. And then she was like, stop playing it.
I'm like, why are you guys playing my hero? Why would you do that to me?
Harry, why are you playing my hero? I
Yeah,
think it's
no, I think it's.
interesting.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna share for him because I don't really know what um took so long. I guess it was just like the decomposed mechanic as a whole took like a while for people to get used to, I think.
Yeah.
Because they were
Dude,
like,
I liked it from the get go. I was like, oh, this is cool.
it's good. I was also one of the tinfoil hat guys at the beginning that was like, so tomorrow's gonna go crazy, and then it
Yeah.
didn't. It just didn't do anything.
I
Yeah.
I really liked the decompose because unlike most disruption, you don't have a choice in the matter. If you don't want to get rid of a card from your hand or the card in your arsenal after I decompose, you don't have a
Hell,
choice.
it did
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I
And
love I love uninteractable things. I love interact
yeah.
un
You
what's the
will do as I say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof, man.
Um, I mean, I'd be playing Verdance if it weren't for the fact that Felling and Plows were like 50 a pop, and she plays Florian. So
That's
we can
fair.
only own so many. We can only purchase so many copies before it starts to get too expensive. So
No, I'm with you there. My
yeah.
wife plays, and so I have a full second play set of CNC,
Oh, we're almost
and
there. We have two and two each, so we're both
oh,
missing
very
one
nice.
copy, one copy
And then
each.
I'm
I was gonna say I have two Crown Providences and then two Tunics, and the next thing we're buying is Enlightened Strikes. So
dude,
Our
tunic.
next purchase is a tunic because we only have one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm letting him borrow most of my Syndra deck to play Fi, so
yeah.
I can't play
Mm.
Syndra. I
Ooh,
have to play
don't leak the
Florian.
sauce. Don't leak the sauce.
It's
Bro, we're not
okay.
gonna
We'll put
post
it
this until
we'll put it out
after your
after.
sauce is done.
After all your loss or sauce.
We'll come
Um,
back in post editing after the PQ tomorrow and be like, did he have the sauce or did he not?
Hey guys, I lost every game. Yanina
Hey
won the whole
guys,
thing.
I
I don't
went
know what
X3 and
happened.
dropped.
pauses the screen. He went 0 and 5
Yanina got the gold foil.
Yeah.
on
And it
Florian.
yeah. So I think we've for the most part covered most of the things with Aurora. I think we can
Actually,
move forward to predictions for the BnR.
I was gonna say before that,
Okay.
without regarding the BNR, how do you feel about the meta
Oh,
how it like
oh my
shakes
gosh.
up with Aurora leaving?
Oh man. Part of me wants to just say like and agree with most people that I mean Florian just takes his spot as, best deck in format, but I don't think that his just because he's the best deck, he's gonna win like every PQ.
Mm-hmm.
Um Aurora leaving opens up the door for a lot of wizards, which is a natural like you can prey on a Florian with a wizard.
Sure.
Only unfortunate thing is that there's like three wizard players in the entirety of Flesh and Blood. So
I don't think that's right. I feel like
yeah, there's a
there's
lot more for sure, but
comes in
it's
waves. It comes in
yeah.
waves where people disrespect AB enough and take it out of their list or spell void, and then like suddenly there's a bunch of Kanos everywhere. Like I think
Yeah.
about with when Zen was getting big, like nobody brought AB, so Majin Bay brought Kano all the way to a final against Brody Spurlock, who was on
Yep.
Zen, which that game was crazy if I'm remembering
I
it.
I think I remembered the Zen state coming in like really
Super
clutch.
clutch,
And
yeah.
yeah.
The Katos
And
are gonna start crawling out the woodworks.
Yeah.
exactly. And I think, but another part of that is I feel like with Aurora leaving, it kind of opens up again because it was the majority of the player base was kind of on this deck, or it was the most represented hero everywhere.
Hmm.
So people are kind of going to disperse into other heroes, whether it's
Yeah.
passion decks or it's, oh, I've heard this deck is whether it's similar in aggro or similar
Yeah.
in the burst potential or
What I'm
similar
super
in some of plays and so on. Go
what
on.
I'm super happy about is the fact that now that there is no longer really like until I guess someone tops a tournament multiple times, right now there really isn't a best aggro deck. There's like different flavors of aggro, because
Yes.
like Azalea is that elusive dominate, like you leak damage every turn by dominating. Syndra and Phi kind of fit that, like I'm just gonna go super wide and like force these weird breakpoints and hit, like little chip damage that like you kind of want to block but you can't realistically block out.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like that kind of aggro style where like you're just death by
Dio.
a thousand cuts as ninjas do. Um, but then you also have like Slippy and Mario, who like if you've seen like some of the Mario builds recently, they have these really cool dagger builds.
Yeah.
And
They're kind
then
of.
Slippy, yeah,
I was gonna say
and
they're
then you
kind of
have
like aggro disruption all in one. Kind of like
exactly,
Azalea in that way.
yeah, and it kind of feels like what they wanted Uzuri to be in the first place a little bit. Not so much with the hero ability, but just like with the daggers and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have Slippy, who is the other assassin, which kind of he doesn't have as much like dagger. He still plays Saber Bloodshed and up six and run, but it's more of like a stealth package that he attacks you with the stealth with go again that maybe has a non hit you care about, maybe doesn't, but it still leaks damage if you don't, and then you have to respect the next thing because it's probably leave no witness or like Codex CNC still.
Yeah. I think another thing too is like, oh, everyone's like, oh, Florian's gonna go nuts. Florian's gonna go crazy. Florian's gonna be this force to be reckoned with.
They're overhyping him.
I agree, and I think that sure he won a lot, but I think he has some bad matchups that are gonna rise up because Aurora's there. Like you mentioned,
Yes,
Wizard.
I
Like
agree.
what?
I feel
What?
like Syndra and Phi maybe because like sometimes their burst turns can like over push like over the
Yeah,
defensive tech that he could do.
Yeah.
And I another thing I feel like is that more and more people are kind of going off of the OTK. Granted, I don't I it could just be an area thing. It could just be
right.
like what I'm seeing at the moment. I don't know what it looks like as a whole, but I feel like there's a lot of people also doing the other build, the like more traditional like maybe quasi guardian style where they're throwing these like good numbers and are like not necessarily playing for one turn but like slowly chipping down and um using fellings as like these huge swing turns and getting online and then doing
Yeah,
arcane seeds and all this other stuff that like they can play a decent game doing their one card fours as and then one card fives later in the game. I feel like the decks that do well into OTK don't always do well into that style of Florian. So I think like the flexibility of the deck is going to work in his favor, but I
hmm
feel like the hero as a whole has some other heroes that just can kind of like do a little bit better and then can kind of push his numbers a bit down.
Yeah.
yeah. I think the reason. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Let the
I was
Florians.
just gonna say
Yeah, yeah.
I was just gonna say that I tried both OTK and the regular version, but Phi just absolutely destroys me, and like any aggro destroys the OTK version. Like they kill you because so much damage leaks through more than you can block every single turn, and I just can't get online fast enough because I don't really want to be attacking with my decompose things
Yeah.
if I'm trying to stack root chance.
Yeah, it's hard. And I feel like that's Sam Dando file list.
Yeah, it's so
Woo,
good, dude. I
buddy.
love it so much. It's so good.
I've been
It's so
following
good.
some of Slatty's content and they're the one who worked with him on that deck and they've been putting out
Yeah.
content and of game reviews and so on and like reviewing their version of the list. Their version of the list is running, I think, Prowess of Agility. More like I over something else I think that Dando was running.
Yep.
But it
So he was running Warmongers. He was running Warmongers, which is kind of you can take it out right now because there's not really a whole lot in the meta that it hits. Although that might change because Azaleas are coming out of the woodwork.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure that there's Vinsets that are also coming out of the woodwork as well.
No, they're not. There isn't
Yeah, I know.
not
I know.
real. You don't
There
need to
Um,
worry
are.
about it.
There are. I've been playing against like 50 Vinsets in Talishar lately.
They're not on
It
the
makes me want to
sauce.
die a little bit, but I beat them
um,
really easily, so you know.
Hmm. Sure.
Couldn't do it.
Right. Right.
Okay, play me right now. Then play me right now.
No, 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 no,
um,
no. It's chill. It's chill.
let's see. Um, what
I
else?
was gonna
What's one?
say
Go ahead
with
while I think about what I was gonna say.
with this change as well. You mentioned Azalea. Another
Yep.
one that I think is going to continue to perform well is New, because New has kind of always been like kind of like a similar way to like Zen was post ban, where
Yeah.
Zen wasn't necessarily the top dog anymore, but he was still putting up results here and there, not consistently, but he was still
Right.
around. I think New is now kind of assumed that space, where they are still a deck to be worried about if they're in the hands of a good player. And then another thing, like I think some of them have moved off of counter blessings because it kind of left them open to things here and there. Some may still be on it. I have not seen as much of that, to be honest. Um, but I know that it's still a deck to be worried about in the format. Um, I feel like both Azalea and um New, their days are numbered on how much longer they have left in the game.
Oh yeah.
In the constructed format.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think,
Um.
but
So, I think New is well. She's still a very powerful deck and a very like a deck that can win events. Florian is just like enemy number one.
mm-hmm.
I know that Michael Hamilton did beat a Florian on camera or on stream, I should say, in I think it was top eight,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken.
With
Um,
new?
yeah. However, I have a few key points to make about that game specifically.
Oh yeah?
Not that the Florian player piloted the matchup wrong. He was in top eight at the tournament, not me. Um, however, Yanina pointed it out too that turn one, I think he, I think he played a Germinate
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
at the start of the game, and then he also blocked with one really early, leaving him only one. Which against New, like one of your plans is to just block out until endgame to where you can, just Germinate's like one of your ways to win that matchup
Just
sometimes.
double up on your defense and
Yeah,
offense kind of at the same
exactly.
time.
And he kind of wasn't like on that game plan. Maybe it was because it was Michael Hamilton and he had a different like thought process for that. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice that there was his Germinates came out of the deck really fast, and I was like, that kind of feels like the wrong game plan.
Okay. Okay.
So
Interesting. But I
every time I've played new into Florian, I get bodied, and it's not just her that does it.
think you're just a
It's
bad new player. I think
I mean it might be, but I tried it. I went to the armory and I won every game that I didn't play a Florian. So
mm,
and we
interesting.
have I mean TCG
I
Talk,
will say that
not
I have
TCG Talk. TCG Ted is a local. If you know who that is, he's on Florian a lot. He's also on Vincent a lot. But he's a pretty good Florian player. There's a few other ones around here as well. So
I will say that I have lost against like one or two news, which I didn't think was possible, but I was like,
Like at all.
I
I
guess
think
somebody's good at new, I guess.
I guess that makes sense. Where like you can kind of manipulate their game like into your own game a little bit. Vincent does something similar, except it gets to be a lot harder to kind of come back from some things. Where like
yeah,
you can kind of fill your own banish zone with your earth cards quicker. You don't have to decompose. Like you can as fast rather. So you can kind of like, oh, I'm gonna banish one earth from you attacking me, and then I have three in through my graveyard. Here's a Felling of the Crown online. Out to my
yeah.
compose of the game. I guess that makes sense. We can kind of like
I
manipulate it.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest ways that a Florian can win or can lose to a new is if they run Seeds of Tomorrow, and then
Ooh,
um,
yeah, yeah.
new can just seeds loop you if you let that seed sit in your graveyard for multiple turns.
I think it's just like uh going into sideboarding plan. I think
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest deal. Like just knowing what to do. And I think if you're performing well, um, it can kind of go any way. Um, favored wise, I think I'm gonna concede a little bit that I feel like Florian can kind of take advantage a little bit.
yeah,
But I think a good new player could probably pilot that very well.
yeah. It's
So
very possible. Yeah. I think if I just in my like I think if they're both the same like same skill wise, I think Florian always comes out on top.
yeah.
Given, in a vacuum, I feel like just of
Basic
equal
luck on both
skill.
sides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense.
You're not drawing like all red hands every time with New, or you're not drawing like full red hands every time with Florian.
Sure. All right, all right. I can get behind that.
Yeah. And then let's see. Yeah, I like the aggro diversity that's gonna be present in this meta. I know that there is a defensive mindset now that Enigma and Aurora Gonk, so like the defensive decks that can be defensive don't get punished by Enigma.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Guardians
and
as
they could,
well.
yeah, and like Guardians still have game into Prism because you have so many poppers.
Oh yeah.
It's not an easy matchup because they can just transition to Spectra. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if the other aggro decks can show their teeth enough that like they can scare the Prisms off the Spectra plan, then Guardians can just hang around and have a good time.
Yeah, I know some Prism friends of mine have been like, yeah, I don't have enough. I don't have as much Spectra as I did at one point for like in favor
Yeah.
of like rats and not Celestial Reprimand because Celestial Reprimand was more for stuff that isn't in the meta currently. Kind of in the same boat, but like there's also like tricks that Guardians have had in the past that like can help in that matchup as well.
Yep.
Like time skippers,
Yep.
run and go again cards like uh
Zealous Beltane.
Zealous, even
Um,
well, Outmuscle probably isn't great in that matchup. It was good in
no.
Enigma at one point, but then Enigma started running more big attacks in the deck.
Yep.
But also like Rouse the Ancients. There's some things that they've done. E-Strike's another one that can kind of
Yep.
fill a pretty decent slot there.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some space for it. I can't imagine a Jarl doing amazing into
Yeah,
the Prism.
Jarl's definitely a little rough. You still have a lot of poppers though, and I think CYB Jarl might be able to fatigue. I'm not sure on that, but I have fatigued a Prism with Riptide. So if Riptide can fatigue Prism, I'm pretty sure Jarl can do it.
Right.
If they're on the Herald package, if they're on the Ore package, you're cooked.
Yeah, I think you're cooked if you're Jarl.
Yeah, or a Riptide too. Like if they're on the Aura package, you're cooked.
Yeah.
But if they're on Heralds, you can fatigue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else could like kind of move into a different space right now? We kind of already talked about like well another one Dio. I think
Yeah, Dio.
Dio's
I
been in the
think Dio is.
conversation a bit
Yep.
more. I don't think she doesn't have a great Guardian matchup, which means her Florian matchup is not
Yeah.
that good either. But I've seen some lists floating around that kind of have like the 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 tech trying to go against it, where it's like, oh, I'm running like the outpaces that are say, oh, you can
Yeah.
armor at certain times, or oh, the convection amplifier is another one that I personally really like. I played Dio and Blitz for a little bit, and when heavy hitters came out with all this new armor and things like that, I was like, convection amplifier is pretty good to like
Yeah.
to try to push a boom grenade through and stuff like that. But you're still like you're not favored, which is
Yeah. I mean, I think null time zone can actually like kind of make it awkward for the OTK flooring a little bit. If you name Rootbound Carapace, that's
yeah.
like if they're running 6 copies, that just like I mean they can't play them or pitch them, so they can arsenal them and play them, but like if so like you kind of like the Florian can navigate it, but it's like it just makes their turns have to be such more like way more awkward if they want to decompose on defense.
Mm. I feel like it's at that point becomes like a pseudo exude confidence where it's
Yeah.
like you're playing into this like hey here's this really good defensive piece you can't use it specifically.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
okay.
So I think that the like good Dash IO players can probably like if they tech right, I think that Dash IO can get there. It's just Dio is such a hard deck to actually pilot well, and
Oh, for sure.
sometimes you could just pilot that deck perfectly, and then the boost mechanic just like says no, you didn't. Like you can make every right choice, and just you could boost away every single like. Sometimes it just happens that way, you know. You look at the top card, and you're willing to boost it away. It's like you have like 2 max Vs, and you see the max V, you boost away, and the next card's a max V, and you still have to boost for the turn.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
it's
those
like
presenting that much damage is kind of how you win that matchup, where you just do this
exactly.
like this nonsense turn.
So
You need a
there's like issues where Dio just looks at the top card and says, "Yeah, never mind, pass."
yeah, yeah.
So
You need a how have you felt playing into Dios?
I've actually felt okay. I haven't really had any issues. Although the only deal is I've played against is kind of a new player.
Got it. And that's a hard deck to
Um,
pilot too, much less for a new player.
Yeah.
It's fun
yeah.
though.
It's a that deck is a blast.
There's
When it does the thing, it's insane.
the craziest thing with that deck is I feel like every turn, because you constantly get this new information at the start, like
Yeah.
you get so many new points of information during in the middle of your turn that they're
Yeah.
like a turn can look totally different from where your brain first was approaching it at the
Yep.
start. It's kind of
Yep.
it's kind of crazy.
It's like
Mhm.
I have a cerebellum processor out and I play like a T-bone and I boost away the top card and then I see a hyperdriver and I have a cerebellum out at the max V in arsenal. Like, well, I wasn't planning on max V in this turn, but now we're max V.
Uh,
Because
it's gross.
yeah, it's crazy sometimes. Like sometimes the deck just like flips a switch and you go from like just trying to go 3 wide to just okay, we're doing the thing now.
Or like Spark of Genius nonsense where it's like,
Yeah, yeah, Spark of
oh,
Genius or like boom grenade off the top, you know.
hit something
I
crazy
never
with it.
let boom grenades hit. It's like the bane of my existence. I see a boom grenade and I full block. My whole hand is gone.
But then
I
they
don't care.
like they'll play it as in reaction, and the reaction
Yeah,
7, you're like, what the heck was I supposed to do about this?
yeah,
It's terrible. They love it though. They thrive on that.
yeah. I think that's like the best thing that Dio can do is just boom grenade off the top after she's already attacked.
Oh yeah, it's grody.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Um.
kind of what we think on
Yeah. I
what's
think
gonna happen.
now. Yeah. I think now we can hit the BnR.
Yeah, okay.
I actually want to hear your take.
I've seen all these people run into these
Yep.
crazy
Yep.
like expansive lists where it's like, oh, Tunic, oh,
hmm
DNC, oh,
I
oh,
was gonna say,
this, oh,
dude,
that.
ban Tunic. Um,
I oof.
dude,
Mm-mm.
I'm here for it. I'm so here for it, but
Yeah,
I
trench
also
lover.
I know LSS will not do it.
No, I don't think that that's what's gonna happen. I honestly, I'm not certain because I think that what the general populace, the general opinion that I've heard is like Florian's a Florian being where he is an issue, and
Yeah.
that if this is the fourth hero to go out as quick, oh no, rather he would be
He
the
better
fifth
not.
because New is getting close, and I
Knew
feel
was
like
going next.
New
Yeah.
does not survive the rest of the year, and neither does Azalea. I feel like,
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
Florian, I think he should be pushed a little bit further down the line if at all
Yeah.
possible. And I
Yeah.
think he does need a hit. And I think a lot of people have thrown out a lot of different cards that could take it, like Rubon
Yeah.
Carapace or Channel the Millennium Tree. I think Scepter is the only like safe pick
Yeah.
because Verdance loses so much room when you take out Rubon Carapace or take out Tree. Because I
Yeah.
think both of those cards can like help a Verdance actually stay in a game.
What
Yeah.
Um,
about Channel Mount Heroic?
Channel Mount
That's
Heroic, I don't think it's relevant right now.
I don't
I
either.
mean, I think there's some lists that are on it, and not to say I haven't used it myself when I've played the hero and like really loved it. I just feel like the abuse of CMH of the Channel of the Millennium Tree and Scepter is it's not
Mm-hmm.
as close to the level of stupidity that was LL Verdance with
Yep.
the
Razor Vein.
Krakens. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's that stupid, but it's getting there. And I
Yeah.
think this could be another one of those moments where it's like we printed this card X amount of time ago. We wanted people to have fun with it and do the thing. I think by the time national season comes around, they may take it away because that felt like
Well,
the sort of through line and logic that they had when they first did the first ever ban in Living Legend, and I feel like the gameplay that it could happen is relevant. Another one that I've heard thrown out as well is the Knife Blade, which I
I think
honestly
Ninth Blade is fine. I don't think that card is too strong.
I don't think so either. I
I
definitely agree with you.
I think there's enough. Well, I wouldn't say there's enough. I think more classes need, and I think that LSS knows this because I think they've said it themselves. They want more classes with the ability to interact with board states.
Sure.
Um, that I think once more classes get the their scours and their ripple aways and things of that nature, that Ninth Blade won't really be that big of an issue.
Yeah. I think
And
the
yeah,
other side of that though is with Rosetta specifically. They made a lot of generation with Go
yes,
Again, and that makes Ninth Blade way more playable. And part
yeah,
of why Viscera I think was so strong, not because of Ninth Blade specifically, but because there was game with that hero of, oh, I have a bunch of Malefics out. Oh, here's a Mordred Tide turn to set up all these
yeah,
chants to either end on a Ninth Blade or start a Ninth Blade in the next turn. Um,
yeah,
I think there may be a point in time where Ninth Blade could hit a ban.
yeah,
I don't think
I
it
don't know.
doesn't.
Ninth Blade is really strong.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that if they take away Scepter, I mean I'm more okay to have Ninth
yeah,
Blade in a list like that for Florian,
yeah,
but I gosh, it feels bad when they're just like, hey, I make 4 rune chance this turn.
yeah. And running AB3 or AB3 like into a Rune Blade should never have to be like,
Feels so bad.
yeah.
It feels
And then you,
so bad.
especially when you equip AB3 and then you get paired into like normal Florian.
Yep.
Mm,
Yeah. So, um, I think Scepter is probably a good one. I know that the reason that a lot of people are on this more mid-range list of Florian right now is because I don't know if you know, but the Runaways uh, posted a Metafy with their current list, which across I think it's 2 or 3 of them, um, they are 44 and 2 across this PQ season.
Wow. That's wacky.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's
There's
got
a
3 CMH in it.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's a good list. Yanina's taking pretty much most of the list, minus a few swaps because of I don't know, minus a few swaps because we don't have certain cards in the quantities required. But
Yeah.
yeah, the list is strong. I've been watching her play it the last day and a half, and it's really good.
That's cool. I know a buddy of mine was also talking about a very quality mid-range Florian list. And even then it's like if that's overperforming, then Rootbound may be the call, but
Yeah,
that doesn't feel good. Like
I know
I
it feels terrible.
completely agree that doesn't feel good.
I think
Rootbound, taking Rootbound out would ruin.
yeah, that's
Like,
the issue.
I don't know that I don't like
They
that.
could do one of the CYB thing where they ban one color and like
Yeah,
maybe they just hit the 4 block. Um,
maybe.
I
I'm
think
not
that's
sure.
fine. I think it's fine to just hit the reds. Unfortunately, like as bad as that sounds, there's
Hmm.
so many 4 blocks in the game already, and just making Earth heroes have access to one more that also turns their game plan on might just be a little strong.
You're not wrong, and Florian specifically gets a lot of 4 blocks
Yeah,
between
exactly.
all the Rune Blade zero for
Yeah,
fours or conditional zero for fours, but also like because what is there? There's reduce, there's
Haunting rendition.
haunting rendition,
yep.
and there's sigil of suffering, which I don't think Florian runs sigil of suffering,
No,
but it's another one that he just gets extra access to on
yeah,
top of the 3 generic ones.
yep.
So
Shelter, Sing,
Yeah.
Fade.
I know it's so
Also, the four
gross.
block of the one where you
There's
pay less for each rune chant.
That's reduced to rune chant.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's reduced to
Yeah,
rune chant. I use that in Vinset too. It's such a good card.
yeah, it is.
I love that card.
Yeah, me too.
Um, in terms of so rather than just Florian, they said that there's going to be a meta shake up, which
Yes.
that means more than just hitting Florian.
Yeah. I don't
So, do
Uh-oh.
you think we unban any cards? Do you think we hit cards before high seas?
um I know a lot of people are clamoring for unbanning bonds to make Katsu relevant again.
Yes, do it.
I say
Do
no.
it.
I vote no.
Just
No.
red,
Okay.
just red,
If it's
just red,
just red, I'm more okay with it.
just
But
red.
that still means they get 6 copies because of retrace. But dude, I hated playing against Katsu
Okay, but it's
with
not technically 6 copies of bonds because of
they
retrace. Because
don't get
retrace
the
it
extra
doesn't get the
value.
effect.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
yes, you're right, you're right. But I know some of my buddies who are very very much miss the days of Bonds Katsu, and I'm just like, dude, I hated that time. Granted, I was
Dude,
on Reinar, and Katsu into Reinar was already bad, and that
yeah.
just made it so much worse. Gosh, it was,
I think Katsu needs something, and I also think personally that LSS needs some of these OG heroes to leave.
yes,
Mhm.
So
because if
go ahead.
they're, I was just gonna say, if these new heroes are rotating this quickly, but these old ones are just
Yes.
like getting obscenely
Yeah.
power crept, where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, the OG4 heroes haven't really been relevant, like
Yeah.
Bravo, Reinar, Katsu. Dorinthia still
Yep.
puts stuff up because her deck is
Sometimes.
flexible, I think,
Sometimes,
and
yeah.
that I think that puts her at a pretty significant advantage.
It definitely does. Just because a warrior, I think it's the warrior nature of just like when you're a generic warrior and you don't aren't really defined into this one box. You're like Fang can only use daggers. I mean, I know there's the Decimator Axe build, but like let's not, you know, kid ourselves here. That
That's
deck
not what he
wins
was
solely
made
on
for.
that deck only wins based on if your opponent doesn't know you're on it and they sideboard improperly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if we're talking about like actual warriors, like Kasai kind of has to do the same thing with like the Centauri Sabers and stuff like that.
She's just so consistent.
Yeah. I guess Olympia is another one that like gets to do cool things occasionally, but like it's not on offense, which is what you need.
Olympia mentioned, let's go.
Yeah. But like Dorinthia is cool because she's, you got Hatchet Dory, you have Dawnblade Dory, Axe Dory. There's so many and they're all viable ways to play Dorinthia.
Sure.
So I think that's definitely the why she gets like the most representation of all the warriors. But like even then, she's still like not really doing a whole bunch.
Hmm. That's fair.
So I definitely think, but I think unbanning red bonds can get Katsu just that boost. He needs to start climbing again and get him out of here. I think um,
At least get
Guardian
him
Mastery
some
Pack.
wins.
Yeah, exactly. I think Guardian Mastery Pack is another way that they're gonna try and push Bravo out, maybe.
Yeah.
By giving some, I think Bravo with surges might actually just like be kind of insane.
Some of even just some of the cards they've spoiled, man,
Yeah,
it looks nice. Like the new block
because
we already mentioned, but also
yeah,
like the instant speed, make 3 surges and stuff like that.
like
I feel like is so helpful.
I can just imagine like if Bravo gets like good access to like a decent amount of surges, Um, and then he can just keep one blue to activate his ability, and then like Spinal with if he has somehow can create 5 surges,
Oh, that'd be
um,
stupid.
would dominate. Yeah, like because like they have the yellow cost 0 for 3 seismics that
Yeah.
we saw. Um, that's 3 right there, and then you put the 4 block that you reveal the crush, and now you get 4. And if you pitch to chest last turn, that's 5. Boom.
Yeah.
There's 5 surges right there, and you're throwing Spinal for free, and all you need to keep is a blue to have it dominated.
Gosh, that'd be
That's
ridiculous.
that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
So I think Bravo is actually once Guardian Mastery Pack comes out, and if the Surge archetype is fleshed out enough for him,
Hmm.
he might be able to. He might like see some like he might start to climb again.
I can see it. I could see it happening. It-
But yeah, so I think banning they just need to ban cards to get these old heroes out. Unban cards to get older heroes out. And I think Bonds does that to Katsu.
do you think
So
there's any other cards that could be
un
unbanned that could
unbanned? Hmm. Um, I saw something interesting for Kano,
Ooh,
actually.
I have two. I have two.
So some
Uh-oh.
I've seen people say ban
Wildfire?
um no, not ban Wildfire.
I've seen
Keep
that.
Wildfire until Kano leaves. I've seen it too, but they want Kano to leave first. Um But ban what's the one that on Surge draws you cards?
Oh, open the floodgates.
Yes, ban Open the Floodgates, but unban Tome of what's it called?
Aetherwind or
Yes.
Fiendal?
I think Aetherwind.
I don't like
So
that
you
because
I know. I
I'm
know.
I'm so scared of Acilia with that card.
Yes, but Acilio was developed in mind with that card.
Mhm.
So you make Acilio better by all and also let Kano LL, but you keep him off the degenerate ability of being able to also play Open the
You know
Floodgates on
what?
the same turn.
And making a Cilio better would keep Florian from
And
LLing.
it would also get a lot of Aurora players places to use their lightning cards. And not that they can't use it in Acilio right now, because Acilio is strong. Like, that is a good deck. It is just hard to pilot. And I think if you give them access to a card that gives them a little bit more, I would say, like, if you can draw cards, I think your turn gets a little better. Like, it gets easier to navigate when you have more options.
I guess you're right. It's just woof, because that
Yeah,
a
I
part
know.
of that
I know it's. I
like
know.
enables a stacking plan, which to be fair could be relevant.
But, like,
Because with open the floodgates, you can't really afford enough to stack. Granted, you
yeah.
also the meta hasn't allowed for people to even get close to stacking.
Yeah. Right.
But okay,
And I think it makes Kano LL, and it also gives Acilio a card that he can actually use
hmm
and become actually maybe a meta contender.
I'm just getting
Um,
flashbacks to like testing with Rosetta,
I
where it
know,
was
I
like
know, I
Channel
know.
Thunderstep and that, and it was like, oh,
Yeah,
give this card go again.
yeah.
Oh, it was gross, dude.
It'd be so cool to see though. Like, I'd love it. It'd be super cool to see Acilio do some like actual good things. Other than the Greaves combo.
Hearing Yanina say that she wants it in the format, even though knowing it's a bad matchup, is like, what?
Listen, I want more time with, please.
Oh my gosh, the one of the
So that's
coolest. I was just gonna share real quick. One of the coolest
yeah.
titles I've ever seen for a hero of recently was for Florian being called the Shepherd of Rot, which I think is just goes so hard, and I just want to
That's
share
pretty
that.
good.
Oh my
The Shepherd of
gosh,
Rot. I like that. I like that a lot.
or Decay. It was one
Do
of
you,
the two. Either way, it's fire.
do you, I wonder if they ever hit Scepter. Not Scepter. Reaping Blade.
Reaping Blade?
Yeah,
Okay, but then it's like, okay, I guess I run the the one weapon we have.
yeah.
I think
Well, I know because they could play Dread Scythe, and Dread Scythe is actually good. It just requires more. You can't block as much and like send Reaping. Um,
I I don't like it because I feel like then the hero joins the Guardians with the problem of, oh, I can't really deal with CYB decks, not efficiently.
Yeah, but I don't think there should ever be like I hate CYB as a card, but if you want it as a mechanic in your game, which it seems that James White does, um, from just an outside looking in, without my bias towards the card, I don't think it should exist in the game. But here we are. Um,
I have no say.
yeah. But if you do want it to exist in the game, I don't think you can give a hero access to a weapon that just on board all games says you can't do it.
I That's not true. I think that's not true at all. I think that um Reaping Blade does not say that. Reaping Blade says
True.
in this window of the game you can use it. And I
That's
think
true.
in an end game state, sure, it like can mess around with your timings of it. I think
Hmm.
there's a point in the game where you can still play it efficiently and effectively, and Reaping Blade doesn't kill it. Reaping Blade makes it harder and makes you have to play smarter as a pilot of your deck
Hmm.
to make sure that you get maximum value out of it. But I don't think it's ban worthy. I sincerely don't. Um,
Even if like, because you could still play the stack build and then just swap to Reaping Blade when you have to play a CYB deck, and now they just can't get over your OTK.
I don't think. Well, that's not even true, because what you can do is as the rune chants slowly ping you down, there's windows of priority where you just
What?
say, "Oh, I'm gonna play this
But
CYB. Oh, I'm gonna play this CYB. Oh, I want to play this CYB."
Florian just doesn't attack you in that case.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a point in the game where the hero, like just straight numbers wise, you get
Hmm.
enough health back in the specific window to stay alive. I think it's completely possible to play a CYB deck into Florian stack Florian with that. And I think you can do it decently well. But that's just from my in a vacuum understanding of the the interactions there and like how and like the windows when you can play it,
Mm-hmm.
but
I
I could be
I just
totally wrong.
I I just like how many you have to be able to get enough in your graveyard to actually gain enough life off of them. So you either have to play some early for no
And
effect,
play inefficiently with them.
or yeah. So I mean, I guess maybe, but I think that onboard life prevention gain effects might hurt the game in the long run. Especially, I think if I'm not mistaken, they want a cleric class in the game eventually.
Hmm. Maybe.
So with that in mind, I don't know if you can just like make Runeblade just like, hi, you're playing a cleric. Yeah, you not. I don't want to say auto lose because like you said, there are ways to like if they just don't attack you and you never go below life parity.
Well, if they
Um,
get rid of Scepter, that doesn't happen. Like
True.
it's not
Well,
gonna meet
it's
that part
it's
of the game,
yeah,
where
yeah,
I think your stacking is way harder without
yeah,
in the game. So you can't. It's one of those moments where it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Where it's
yeah,
like you can't like efficiently make like a stack of rune chants at this level and stop them from gaining life.
yeah. There is a rare weapon. I forget what it's called. I read it earlier. It's really bad. I think it's like pitch a blue, create a rune chant, and then it has no go again. Your turn just ends.
Oh, that was from
But
Dynasty. That's the book. The book is bad.
yeah,
No one
yeah,
has
that's what I
ever
yeah,
played that
yeah.
in their life.
It'd be funny to see an OTK build play that if they
I'll
hit
do it. I'll
Scepter.
do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
You
I
play that
volunteer.
into my
Um,
Rhino Rock deck, and we'll see what happens. I
I
will
want
probably
The only way
to
you'll
lose.
win. The only way you'll win.
I want to hear your take on banning three of a kind.
I don't think
No,
it's necessary. I
I
don't think it's
also
necessary.
agree.
no!
I agree.
Don't take away our
Um,
channel from us.
Not that they won't
No,
do
we're
it, but
canceled.
I
We're
think
canceled 2 episodes in. Ellis
I
has
think
got us.
I
Alice says, I said, I hate you. I hate you.
We saw this one episode put out. We
I
had to
know.
kill it. Gosh.
Um, I think because of the fact that when they did the book burning, they said three of a kind is fine. Um, it's not ban worthy.
Hmm.
They said that when High Seas was already probably at this point finished with testing.
Yeah. If not toward the
And
end of it,
yeah, and I think that the Ranger card pool is small enough that it's not like one of those things where they just overlooked it with Zen, you know? Because the Ninja card pool, even before MST, was still pretty. It's still really large, you know.
You know what? Didn't you say they said that
Um,
it was going to change the meta?
yeah.
I
So
don't think it would change the meta. Like, she's not even
yeah,
out yet.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think three of a kind is doing anything crazy. However, um, I do see a world where if Azalea does an LL, um, I don't. Maybe like this is be interesting. So if Azalea does an LL by the end of PQ season, because PQ this is the we have one more weekend after this, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So because we have another event next weekend,
Hmm.
um, I think that's the last week, and that's on the 17th, and they said the BnR was on the 19th. I don't know
Yes.
how fast they can like implement a change if she doesn't LL,
Usually,
but
it's like a week later.
yeah. So one of the things I've seen is that people are saying to suspend Death Dealer um, until Azalea LLs
Ooh.
if she doesn't LL in PQ season for Marlin, just because being able to draw a card, load like three of a kind's fine because now you can only play cards from Arsenal, but Death Dealer lets her just do some degenerate stuff.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. If Azalea LLs, you don't even get Death Dealer as
Exactly,
Oh, you're so right. I didn't even
and
think
she's
about that.
close. Yeah, so the whole Marlin like go wide Ranger build doesn't work if Azalea LLs before she comes out.
That's true. Ooh, you're
So
right.
if she doesn't LL by the end of PQ season, I could see them suspending Death Dealer for when Marlin comes out.
That would just suck for to be an
It,
Azalea
it,
player
it would
though.
suck, but I think that you're fine. Like you just can't draw a card. You have to change the deck a little bit. And I've done testing. Like Dreadbore works just fine in Azalea. Like
It's just not it's not
it's not what
the
you want to
game.
be doing. Yeah, it's not what you want to be doing. But like I think it works. It's an auto win into OTK Florian as Azalea if you run Dreadbore. So I think there's
So,
merit to playing with Dreadbore, and I also think that Dreadbore and Azalea might. Oh no, or you could play Sandscour. Like you could still play Sandscour Azalea,
Sure, yeah.
and that build is still really good. It would just drive the prices of New Horizon up even more than they already are from high seas. But like,
So happy I still have my copy.
dude, I have a cold. I have a first edition. Well, not first edition. I think I have a cold foil, which I mean doesn't have to be first edition. I think.
Yeah, that's officially that's
Yeah,
first printing usually.
yeah, yeah. I have a first edition cold foil New Horizons that I picked up before when it was like $70, and I'm like, let's go.
That's crazy, dude.
So, yeah, I'm excited that I have that now. It's probably my most expensive equipment now,
I could imagine.
just because of high seas. Until I get EA Trench.
That's
I
next. That's
still
the
don't
next one.
have one. I still, dude, I still don't have one.
I have a cold foil and I'm okay with it.
That's nice. I just have a normal rainbow foil. I don't even have a cold foil.
I'm just better than you. I'm sorry.
I know, dude. Oh man.
Dang.
But yeah, no, three of a kind. Three of a
Dang.
kind definitely does not need to get hit. Death Dealer suspension is something that I could see happening though. I saw someone say that, and I was like, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. You prevent the shenanigans that Marlin can do if Azalea doesn't LL, and if she does LL, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it'd be fine to leave it legal. Well, maybe to kind of see what happens because like
Yeah,
sure in theory it's really cool in Marlin, but
it's
uh,
more than really cool. It's more than really
you're
cool.
right. You're right. You're right.
It's more than really cool.
It's super cool.
No, it's degenerate levels cool.
That's fair.
Yeah. Especially if somehow like, if you landed yourself a try shot in Arsenal the turn prior, like with Death Dealer and just being able to keep loading and drawing at the same time,
It's
like
gross. It's gross.
it's really bad.
But
So I think Death Dealer I could see Death Dealer going or try shot like if try shots real like
I can see Try Shot leaving to be
yeah
honest.
like yeah try shot could be on the chopping block.
Hmm.
Which is sad because I've been wanting to play Try Shot in a deck, and because it's cool, it's a cool card. It's a blue block 3 that lets you activate your bow 2 more times. Which
Gosh, it's just
there's not really any other bow in the game that's worth doing except for Death Dealer. So
so just like yeah, because you refill your hand, but also
yeah,
I feel like most rangers haven't run like high resource cards, but
yeah,
Marlin is going to because her arrows are expensive. So
yeah,
think having the extra blue to pay extra times at a death dealer
yeah.
might be too much. So I can
Exactly,
definitely see Try
exactly.
Shot going.
Yeah.
Oof.
Other than that, though, I don't think there's any Ranger cards off the top of my head that would be worth hitting.
Hmm.
Um, And then, is there any other classes that could see unbans? I know Nathan Crawford was asking for I think Plunder Run unban.
I could see that one too, because it was at a time where like stuff was kind of degenerate enough where it was
Yeah,
like I think with the way the game is now and like the aggro in the game right now,
yeah.
I think it could be fine with it because
I agree completely.
another part of it is like the one issue which I think will be the reason it could stay banned is because it's a full turn. It's the next time I believe it's the
True.
an attack hits this turn, um, or attack action card either way, which would make Syndra and Phi I feel like kind of go over the top a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but in a post Art of War world that could be different. Um,
Mm,
Chain was really the main reason it got banned in the first place because he was using it just like way too
yeah.
efficiently.
Yeah.
I can't really think of another deck at the top of my head that might go for.
It's just a common, right? Or is it a rare?
I let me check real quick because I don't really
I
know
can't
off the top of my
remember.
head.
Yeah.
Um,
I have already pulled up so I can check too. I don't know why I didn't just look.
uh,
It is yeah, it's a rare. Okay. Um, Would you could you see them reprinting Plunder Run in high seas at rare,
maybe
and then errata it maybe?
this is the next time an attack hits.
Yeah, instead of just
Not the
saying
next time. The next
the
attack
next
action
attack
card gets
that you
on
play.
hit draw a card.
Yeah, yeah,
I could see that, and that might be
and
more
then
fair.
get the game is Plunder Run, and like, what's better? What's a better set to reprint it than a pirate
It is
set?
a pirate.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool. I could
and
honestly, if they eroded it in a similar way that they did with the Crucible traps,
yeah,
yes, I think that I like that a lot.
yeah. I think I just came up with that in my head just now, and I was like, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a good idea. And I know that they said like there's multiple. I don't. I'm assuming you watched the full dev talk, um, but they
Hmm.
said there was one really big surprise, and then Brian Gottlieb mentioned that there was multiple surprises in High Seas. What do you think the big surprise could possibly be?
For the like reprint card,
No, because I think they already mentioned that they're like they said that prior. They were like, there's a
one's
really
gonna get like CNC treatment.
yeah. They said that there's gonna card that's gonna get a CNC treatment, but then they said after that that there is one really big surprise that he was thinking of in mind that he's excited for people to find out about, and then and then Brian Gottlieb was like, yeah, there's multiples of those, and then James was like, no, but there's one really big one, and he's like, Brian Gottlieb was like, yeah, I know the one you're talking
Oh,
about. They'll be
that.
excited to see that. Yeah, oh that, yeah, exactly, without like saying anything. So there's definitely something that they were both
Like, what do you mean by
like
that? Like, what do you
yeah,
mean by that,
exactly.
bro?
So to answer that question, um, I don't know. To be honest, to be completely real, I feel like it could potentially be another big like generic power card, but
Yeah,
that might be pushing it too much because Art of War was just like such a pivotal piece
yeah,
for so many decks that leaned on it, and I think that they're doing something like that again could be counter, like basically taking one step forward, two steps back, where it's
yeah.
like, oh, we're banning Art of War, but here's Art of War 2, or like nonsense
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, I'm
Here's
not
Art of Peace.
Art of no, that's the fatigue one. No, they just gave Voting Florida peace. There's
For
Olden
Jarl. It's for
free.
Jarl.
It's just
Olden.
Art of War, but it's just Art of War, but instead of the plus one, it's just plus one block.
No, it's Art of War, but it's -1 for the other players.
Oh, to
Oh,
play as
okay.
defense
It's just this round's on me, but like
as
as
an
instant
instant.
speed.
Gosh,
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
would
and
suck. Well, they already have that
that'd be
Herald
so
of
bad.
Triumph. I mean, not Herald.
Oh, true.
Figment of Triumph. Figment of.
Yep, Figment of Triumph. Yeah.
Oh man, I have no clue. I'm
Yeah,
just thinking
it's
about the potential reprint that they
yeah.
mentioned as getting the Command and Conquer treatment.
My money's on Warmongers.
I could see it. I think we've talked about this privately,
Yeah,
where I feel like Warmongers could get a reprint. Kind of like being hyper relevant with the three
yeah,
heroes, like because traditionally in the past, each of these, well, the two classes we have been given, plus the way that I've seen play go um for the necromancer so far, um where it's like, oh, warmongers can shut down playing an item and uh, attacking in the same turn. For
yeah.
the
Exactly.
mechanologist, it can stop you from playing a non-attack to buff an arrow that you're shooting. For the
Yeah,
ranger, and then it also would stop like, oh, I'm gonna play out a ally and attack with it in the same turn
yeah.
for necromancer.
Although I do like so far, and this is the only bow that we've seen since Warmongers.
Hmm.
I I think brand new bow. Other than let's see, when did Warmongers come out? I'm not really sure
Believe it
what
was
set that was.
Dynasty, if not
It's
Outsiders.
oh, it's Dust Till Dawn. Okay,
Oh, it's Dust Till Dawn. That was way
yeah,
after.
okay. I don't know what bows came out after Dust Till Dawn.
I don't think there was one.
Okay, well then,
Well,
like real bows that have been played.
was Dust Till Dawn before Outsiders or after Outsiders?
Um, that's a great
Because
question.
the only
I
one I
wouldn't
can
know.
think of would be Riptide's bow.
Yeah,
Because I don't
but
think
that's just
any
a
other bow has
common.
come out after that. Because
Okay.
Sandscour was Dynasty, and anything else was before that.
Okay.
So,
Then in my mind, that's kind of cool if you like think about warmongers and with the mindset of like a herding rangers.
hmm,
Marlin has a built-in pump on her bow.
yeah, but not a load.
You're right. But she
So
could just crack her gold.
you can't
Oh,
under
right. You
Warmonger.
can't. You can't. You can't. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
So
You're right.
Warmongers
Okay.
actually does
It
become
does hit
relevant
her. Okay.
again for that hero.
Unless she already has a harpoon in arsenal.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
That's the only
But
time.
so you can pseudo play around it by just arsenaling your harpoons.
Or with like, oh no, you can't even do that. Never mind, never mind. I was gonna say you can like pop like bullseye bracers, like as if it's not
Yeah.
an action to do that.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. I don't think any of them are instant. You can't load at instant speed.
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Honing
I
hood.
know. I know. Sharpshooters is an instant.
You can
Not instant.
honing hood.
Sharpshooters is an action.
Honing hood is an
Honing
instant.
hood.
Really
Is it
good card.
really?
Everyone should run it.
Yeah, it's a great card. Block 0. Yay.
Project Blue All Star. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Um. Hmm. But yeah, so I think Warmongers is like definitely one of them. As a ranger, I really, really want alternate art codexes of frailty. So I
I
I want to see Codex of Frailty reprinted.
I feel like it's not open enough. I feel like Warmonger's Diplomacy is like open enough of a reprint for everybody to kind of have,
Yeah,
kind of like CNC was. I
yeah,
think Codex is a card people need to have access to if they're playing those classes, but I don't
yeah,
think that they would do it in a reprint now because it's in this cycle of cards. Because it's the three
right.
related codexes and not just, oh, this is a card that's kind of
Yeah,
its own staple that kind of does its own thing.
that's fair. Um, I've heard someone say that they could also just like do a non-foil um, Codex of Frailty in the expansion slot,
I could see that very much.
as just like a get a little bit more Codex of Frailties into the market.
Yep, it's relevant. It's what they did
Yep.
in what
With
set was that?
Crown of Providence.
Yeah, with Bright
I think it
Lights, I think.
was, yeah, I think it was Bright
And then
Lights.
Bright Lights also reprinted Teklo Foundry Heart, which was another
Yep.
relevant one.
So there's definitely, some
There's some
we
there's a
might get
list.
more than one reprint. There's also that but
Now
only one of
that
them might be getting the
I don't I,
CNC treatment.
okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Just thinking about
Shelter.
huh?
What?
Reprint Shelter of the Storm.
The
Geez,
set
dude,
right
honestly,
after, baby.
in the set after, like, dude,
Please.
you if
Please.
I bet you if they could, they would.
I don't want to spend
Yeah,
$120
exactly.
on a on a 0 for 4
Or
Diriat.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah. And it's not even Rainbow Foil or EA. It's just
But you
It's
get
it's
like an
just
alternate
the
art.
card.
You
disappointing.
get really cool art.
It's so
But
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. That was definitely a big miss. I think making it a majestic was like I know it was like more for the limited format than anything, but
Yeah, because I mean they printed
God.
Calming Breeze. Calming Breeze is
Yeah,
supposed to be the poor man's version of that card.
exactly. Which actually it works really well
It does, but you
when you
can't
need it
like
in the meta you when you need it.
yes, it's the very specific interaction.
Yeah.
Same with the other part of Shelter, but Shelter's value on that
Yeah.
like flip side of it is just too strong. Not too
I
strong
I
in
do
in an
look
actual sense, too strong in a
yeah.
card utility
I
sense.
I do like that the fact that Calming Breeze can be played from Arsenal like
That effect, yeah.
for that effect. Yeah. That is the nice part about it.
It's just you can play Shelter in the Storm against Guardian,
Yeah.
attack you one time, while Calming Breeze
Yeah.
is like, hey, I'll block one of your Spinal Crush.
And like it's also kind of relevant on the turns where like Guardians tear asunder their Titan's Fist for 4, and you have a 0 for 4 plus, and you like
Block or
maybe you have
something.
no armor, or plus you
Or
have no armor,
yeah.
but like but you have a shelter in hand, so you can 0 for 4 from Arsenal and then discard the shelter, and you just stop the tear asunder.
That's true.
Yeah, so like there's definitely a lot. There's utility where either one of them is like nice, but yeah,
It's
that card's gonna plague them for a while.
it's gonna be, and I think I don't know really what like I feel like they've kind of always had this issue with reprints when it comes to like, oh, the history packs, but the history packs also
Yeah,
didn't change the value of the cards that were in there that people were looking to get.
yeah,
Like it was about the same. Like
yeah,
I think like history pack version of Stormstriders was maybe $10, if even that, less than normal
yeah,
Stormstriders. CNC was the same price. It's
yeah.
hard. And E
I
Strike I think is in the same boat.
I think that they could like maybe like I know that they've recently started doing like um for when like new sets come out and they have like the promo packages and stuff like that, they've started putting Majestics in them.
Yeah.
I think that you can maybe do like in the future if there's another pirate set that comes out because it's definitely not going to be for high seas because they're not going to like they've already planned out the events and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when in the next pirate set, they might do like a promo package with some shelters
Maybe. I mean,
as promos.
that's another part of just like TCGs in general where it's like they
Yeah,
want demand for the product. So it's like,
yeah,
well, there's only so much we can do and also
right.
remain profitable as like a
Yeah,
company
that's
or
fair.
like
I
or
feel like spreading out the good cards in different sets is a really good way of like keeping people buying other sets. I don't know, like they could just reprint it. I don't think it would be a problem.
I think it would
They
just have
said
to
they
be
don't want
like
it to be expensive.
later. It just has to be later.
Yeah,
Which is what they
Oh,
did with
okay.
CNC and like
yeah,
it just didn't really do that. I think is like the big thing. I
yeah,
think I think it was good because it's like, oh, it puts it back in the market. People can pull it from packs. So I think like people who didn't have it can get their hands on it, which is good.
yeah.
And I
And
Why
it,
didn't
think
they make it a majestic though?
because even when it was printed originally, its pull rates were not like
yeah,
that high. And they wanted it to continue to be this like sought after card. And so they printed it at legendary. And I think like it stays in line with how powerful that card is and how relevant that card is. But
I
boy,
think I think Staples being printed at Legendary is kind of like a homage to the game itself with like the Living Legend format, you know,
yeah,
um,
sure. I'll
where
give you
like
that.
the card itself is legendary. You know, it's a living legend. That card has standed the test of time and been put in every deck to this
It's
date since it
it's
came out.
transcendent.
Yeah, it's
I marvel at the
it's
CNC.
it's traversed the universe, if one might say.
Truly.
No, that's the card I could see getting banned now that no heroes need it and they don't have to work around it in the future.
Yeah, that's one of those I can definitely see. Kind of like a Crown of Seeds.
Yeah, it's probably yeah. It's now that Oldham's gone, ban Crown of Seas. Now that those heroes are gone, let's ban Traverse so we don't have to worry about it in the future.
Maybe.
So
I can see it
that way we
happening.
don't have any like Enigma issues. Where like Enigma was like one of the most fair illusionists to date, but like it was just frustrating that she could just traverse block. Here comes Mira Guy. I'm riding my dragon to victory.
Here she comes.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh
like
Lord, she
hitting
comes.
traverse now that she's gone is like probably worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. But I think I think that's a good spot for that one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um, do we want to talk about Project Blue or do we think we want to save that for the next one?
I think we could probably save it for the next one, and then
Yeah,
we
I think
can.
we've been
I think
recording
we
for an
can.
hour
I
and
think we
15
can come.
minutes.
Yeah, I think we can come around to talk about Project Blue in the next one, where we can talk about UPF when we have a little bit more.
Yeah,
We can have we
room
can have a
when there's less
podcast.
happening.
Yeah, well, we could have a podcast like centered around newer players, and we can talk about entry level products, all the stuff that LSS has been doing in that
Oh, the Aurora
in the
LL
entry
that's
products.
useless now.
No, no, we already kind of did that, but kind of
They're
how
branching out
we have
into maybe a more casual sense
casual,
again.
yeah.
Yes, and I think
You got
that's
PB, you got UPF.
that's a bit of a spoiler for next episode that we're gonna
Yeah,
do because we're all really excited about this stuff.
yeah.
But alrighty, I think that's gonna do it for us today. We have been three of a kind. We will see you guys next
Yep.
time.
Peace out.